Hello, everyone, and welcome to Art Battle Vancouver. Tonight we have an incredibly special show. Tonight is actually the Vancouver Region City Championships. So the amazing 10 artists that we have with us here tonight will be moving, one of which will be moving on to the National Championship. These guys will have 20 minutes on the clock only in their first qualifying rounds. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I gotta tell you, it is absolutely fire. We have not only one defending regional champion who has been to the nationals already, but we also have another artist. We have two artists who have already been to nationals in previous years. So the lineup here tonight is just full of heavy vets that are going to be amazing. In this round, we will be having Kate Drexler, our winner from Campbell River, and from Prince George, Harshpreet Kaur. And at easel number 3, Vancouver's own Kristina Kolosova. At easel 4, also representing Vancouver, Jean Bosco Backroon. And finally, from Squamish, Theresa Columbus. So it looks like we have just gotten our artist announcements. These guys are, you can see they're all pros. Everybody is just looking really chill right now. And this is a really high pressure situation. Absolutely. So they are just getting ready to be hearing the countdown for the beginning of the first qualifying round of the Vancouver Regional Championships tonight. The top 2 artists, as voted by the audience from this round, will be moving on to the third and final round. They will join 2 other artists from round 2. And in that round, they will have an extra 10 minutes, which is really nice. Throwing 30 minutes on the clock for the final round. But just coming up in this round, 20 minutes only, 20 minutes to make this incredible impression on the audience and vying for a chance to make it to nationals. And the countdown is coming on. Loving that these artists are all just so excited and clapping for each other. There's such an incredible element of community here, especially when the regional championships happen. All of these artists who have painted together over the course of, in this case, a few years, because we are working with artists from 2022, 2021, and also in the season preceding the pandemic. So these guys have worked really hard. They've been really patient, waiting for this championship event to come. And here it is, ready to throw the paint down. Okay, final seconds. Once again, these artists will have 20 minutes only on the clock to create a masterpiece in front of your eyes in only 20 minutes. The top 2 artists from this round and from the next qualifying round will be moving on to the third and final round. All right. Looks like our round has begun. 20 minutes officially on the clock. We are getting our first initial strokes down. This artist, I haven't seen our name tag yet, but we will get that shortly. Okay, here we are with Theresa, and Theresa is starting off really, really heavy with a lot of blue paint, and I believe that this is our artist Bosco, and Bosco has laid down some tape in the foreground here, really creating kind of a horizon line already. Good way to map out that start. And here we are with Harshpreet Kaur, and Harshpreet has already got, in not even 40 seconds, definitely the impression going of a portrait in profile, and she's got some really good proportions going there as well. And here we are with Kristina Kolosova, and off to a great start here with these kind of painterly brush strokes, getting a little bit kind of blends going there, very soft and gentle at Oh, here we are with, oh, I was incorrect. That's Bosco. And Theresa Columbus now coming in with a fan brush and just kind of really light hand, but very swift as well from Theresa. Really doing some great work there. And looks like we have an orca going on there. And back hanging out with Harshpreet. And the way that she has just kind of compartmentalized these shadows already. Like, this is a less than 3-minute painting, and this is really mature already. We're getting a really great sense of proportion here, and now getting these blue tones added into this portrait, which is really communicating to me that this isn't going to be just your average portrait. I think that we can expect the unexpected in terms of color usage from Harshpreet. And here we are back with Kristina Kolosova. And again, just these gorgeous, really soft, painterly strokes. Christina's really creating such a beautiful atmosphere already. And Kristina is pretty well known for her reputation in the art battle circuit is really, really well known. She's actually been painting with Art Battle since 2014. She is a 5-time winner. I know. And a 9-time finalist. So she absolutely did not come to play tonight. She is here to win. And speaking of artists who are here to win, hanging out with John Bosco here, and wow, just the absolute rapidity of the application here. And we obviously understand that this is a landscape, very textural, very expressive use of color here, and looks like this has all been applied via knife work. And at this point, this is a 4-minute painting, so huge amount of coverage there from Bosco. And back with Theresa now, adding in these strokes of highlight into this blue foreground that she had established there in this gorgeous kind of ultramarine blue. And I'm hoping that I know what this is. I feel like maybe this is kind of some northern lights going on, maybe. Just the way that highlight is blending in, and the way that she's pulling those brush strokes up. And here we are with Theresa again. Definitely seeing some kind of northern light situation, some stardust going, getting those peaks of light coming through this nighttime atmosphere here. And Theresa, it looks like she's working on some silhouettes of some trees, just getting a really beautiful sense of this landscape here. And back with Kate as well. Still working on those orcas. She has elapsed about 9 minutes into the rendering of these orcas so far. So if we are going to be getting more elements on the canvas, I think that she might end up moving on soon into building up the water, potentially working onto the background. But right now we're just really focused on this very careful rendering. And even just getting this very slight kind of highlight and glinting off of the skin of the orca here. Just beautiful. Okay, so Harshpreet, what I was worried about, she has just negated. So I was a little bit worried that we had so much blue going on in the figure and also the same tones happening in the background. But now what Harshpreet has done is just blending in these blues and also bouncing them off of this just absolutely gorgeous fuchsia, really creating a sense of kind of electricity and energy in this portrait piece. Just checking out the way that she's rendering, and if you ever have seen photography that's been done with different colored light gels, this is kind of the effect that looks like she's going after. And back with Kristina here, and definitely into the figurative element here. And I'm wondering if this is a astronaut with the way that the curve is happening on the helmet of the person. Definitely giving me astronaut vibes. Perhaps they're falling from space into this beautiful atmosphere. Really enjoying the juxtaposition that Kristina has going on here. With these kind of soft painterly strokes that we've seen establishing the atmosphere, and then the kind of harsher, more linear execution of the figure in the foreground. Wow, Bosco. So excited every time we come around to this easel. There's just so much happening, and you can tell that Bosco is a really physical, involved painter as well, which makes for a really wonderful performance aspect to Art Battle. A lot of artists will maybe not lean into the performance aspect as much as they should. We rarely, as audience members, or as the general public, get to see what it's like inside an artist's head, what it's like inside an artist's studio. And so at Art Battle, we have all of that on display, and some artists really tend to play it up. So I think that Bosco is doing that now. We can see that he's doing all of these very physical strokes, and I think that the audience is going to respond really well to that. So not only is the piece looking great, but the performance aspect is very engaging as well. From Theresa here, just working in with this fan brush and such beautiful specificity here on the highlights that are going into the trees. And now we can see that Kate is working into the highlights of the water. I believe that this is going to be, or at least at this point, it's totally monochromatic. I haven't seen her palette yet, so I don't know whether or not we might get any surprise colors coming at the end, but just a beautiful job capturing the impression of light on water. And so even though she hasn't filled out this whole space with a swath of blue like we would kind of expect from an execution of water. Just these carefully kind of bounced and blended linear horizontal brush strokes are really communicating to us the stillness of the water with slight rippling and light coming off of that. And it's just really beautiful, subtle effect. And back with Harshpreet here. And I think my favorite part of the portrait so far is the way that she's executed the underside of the eye, like the lower eyelid. We can get a sense that the figure is kind of looking down towards the other corner of the canvas. And it's really conveying a great sense of presence there. And I definitely think that that's gotta be an astronaut. The more that Kristina is just really working on honing this, the more clearly this figure is coming across. Such a great sense of movement here. We're really getting that kind of floating, flailing, but it doesn't feel emergent. It doesn't feel dangerous or scary. It just kind of feels like we're coming upon this astronaut floating in this beautiful sunset. Back with Bosco here, and 6 minutes remaining on the clock. Can't wait to see how this piece turns out. Every time we come across it, it's still retaining elements of its subject matter of the bridge and the sky and the foreground and the small trail that's coming towards us, but it's also evolving so much every time we come around. So definitely a treat to watch Bosco paint. And something to be noted for Bosco is that he won his first ever art battle and earned his way into the Van Regional Championships here tonight. So huge shout out to Bosco already. That is a huge challenge. So many of the artists that are painting tonight are really well experienced art battle veterans. So this really, I think, is maybe Bosco's second or third art battle ever. And I have to say, is just absolutely doing a stunning job in this first qualifying round. So back with Kate here, and again with these just subtle techniques we're getting. She is just using her finger and some white paint on a brush to kind of fleck and give us a sense of splashing from the water coming up here, introducing that movement into the otherwise calm waters, and the way that the orcas are just kind of smoothly working their way through the water. And with 4 minutes on the clock, I do have to say that I think that this is likely to stay a monochrome piece. So the final 3 or 4 minutes, it's a unique feeling as an artist painting in art battle. You've been working on your piece for 16 minutes, 17 minutes, and you've really established basically everything that you want to, if you're lucky in the way that you've managed your time, or if you've managed your time very carefully. But the last 3 minutes almost end up being the riskiest minutes, because at this point you're trying to finish everything and you're making decisions even more quickly than you were leading up to this point. So the final 3 minutes, we're going to start seeing artists rushing a little bit more, maybe some quicker brush strokes like we're seeing from Kristina here, the addition of a new color, which can be a risk, but here is actually working out really well. And again, Kristina is no stranger to art battle, with 5 wins and 9 final rounds under her belt. Oh, wow. check out that spatter. We got just like a few shots of really kind of grand spatter, just harmonizing that atmosphere here and adding in, again, that performance element. Back with Bosco here, the final 2 minutes. And at this point, it looks very interesting. Interestingly, that Bosco is now reducing the amount of paint and is just kind of pulling different layers away to start to reveal colors underneath that had been applied earlier. Gotta say, I'm loving this piece from Theresa Columbus representing Squamish. I really feel like the sense of nostalgia looking at this piece. Like, I feel like I'm in that kind of moment looking up at those northern lights and present with those trees in the nighttime in that painting. And that's a hard thing to do in 20 minutes, to make someone feel present with you. And Kate here, just adding these final small details into this piece. And this piece is so detailed, but at the same time, it really is able to stand as a piece that you step back from and appreciate from a distance as well, in that it has a really great graphic quality to it with the black and white and the very clear shapes. So not only does it look great up close, but it also looks great far away. And same can be said for Harshpreet's here, enjoying kind of the more subtle moments of the hair and the introduction of that butterfly. But then when you step back, you get that kind of burst of contrast and that really intense color story. Our final seconds counting down. Kristina is just adding in her very final brush strokes, little tiny pops of highlight. Oh, I love watching the way Bosco just kind of dances the palette knife across the canvas. All right, that is our 20 minutes. The first round of the Vancouver Regional Championships has ended. The top 2 artists, as voted by the audience, will be moving on to the third and final round. So this is where you come in. Now is your time to go to artbattle.com/vote and pick your favorite artist. Who do you want to see paint again? Not only are you choosing what you think is the best painting that's been executed in this round, but you're also choosing who you want to see paint again. And of course, all of these pieces are also available via silent auction at that same link. So you don't even have to be in the room to be falling in love with these pieces and ready to take them home. We will ship them to you, so bid early and bid often. I know that there are definitely a few pieces in there that I would be really excited to collect. So just checking out the venue here, we've got a really great crowd. Everyone seems really excited. It's just really a night of celebration and being able to come together as kind of this big art battle family, as all of these champ artists from different regions descend on Vancouver and vie for their chance to move on to nationals. So definitely make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote. That is where you will register with your phone number to vote for your favorite artist, who you want to see paint again in the regional final, and also get the opportunity to collect these works. We are just getting ready to set up round number 2 with another 6 incredible artists who will be painting again in another round of 20 minutes, another qualifying round, vying to move on to the final round here tonight, and then, of course, to the national championship. So tonight we are at the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. The top artists from each qualifying round will move on to the final round where they will paint again. One winner will be chosen, and that singular winner will move on to represent the Vancouver region at the 2022 Art Battle National Championship in Toronto. So stay tuned. Another 6 artists coming up in round number 2. And I gotta say, I know I'm always telling you guys that I'm very excited about the artists, but tonight it couldn't be more true. Some special highlights that I want to point out for artists that are painting in round number 2. We have Jace Kim, who is an ambidextrous artist. So get ready for that. At easel number 3, we are going to have Khan, who is the defending Vancouver regional champ. Khan was at the Art Battle National Championship in 2019. And also in that round is Shannon Thiesen. And I met Shannon in Toronto at national championships a few years ago as well. So 2 experienced artists who have painted already in the national championships, vying for another chance to go this year, and an artist who paints two-handed. And man, it's a really heavy lineup, guys. So stay tuned. Back in just a few minutes with those artists in round number 2. So, also happening tonight, we have three Porsches here hanging out in the alley, uh, right beside our venue for the Vancouver Regional Championships. These are just absolutely stunning vehicles. So, right now we are seeing three absolutely stunning vehicles from Porsche Canada, uh, parked and showcased in the space just outside our venue in Vancouver. Looks like we are just getting set up for round number two, which will be beginning very, very shortly. We will have another five incredible artists up at the easels with another 20 minutes only on the clock and set with the challenge of a blank canvas in front of them. Wow, gotta say, some absolutely stunning work from round number one. It is a very, very tough competition tonight. Panning over right now, we are checking out some of the works that were created in from our opening painters. That's Michelle Wynn and Jeremy Hendricks. Michelle being the artist that did the beautiful tree there, and Jeremy with the jaguar. So once again, you still have time to vote. Round number one voting is still open. Go to artbattle.com/vote. Make sure that you register and choose your favorite artist. These guys have been absolutely painting their hearts out tonight, and the stakes are really high with this being a city regional championship event. The top two artists that is voted by the audience will be moving forward to the third and final round tonight, and the single winner of the final round will be moving on to the national championships in Toronto. We are almost ready for round number two. of the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. We got our blank canvases up on the easels. We have our artists starting to step up to the easels. I know I can spot Shannon Thiesen there with her signature colorful locks. I can't wait to see what Shannon paints. She is a 5-time Art Battle winner, and also in previous years has moved on to the National Championship in Toronto to represent the region. Also painting with us in this round, we will have Tasha Gavel, also from Vancouver, who has won 2 Art Battle events. Khan, who has won a whopping 7 Art Battle events, and who actually was in the National Championship last season that we were able to have a National Championship in 2019. So Khan is the Vancouver defending champion. We have Rodrigo Perez, also a really well-known winning artist from Vancouver. And then, of course, Jace Kim, another artist who has 5 wins under their belt and who has the unique talent of being an ambidextrous artist. So it is going to be a fire round number 2, guys. It is going to be absolutely incredible. Will knock your socks off. And just can't wait to see the way that these canvases transform. Can't wait to see the different energies that the artists bring to the easel in this round, just all kind of converging. Most of these artists in this round know each other. They're all Vancouver local. So that energy is sure to be very special. Once again, voting for round number 1 is still open, so make sure that you get those votes in. And the auction is still alive and is popping off from what I hear. So make sure that you use that link, artbattle.com/vote, to vote and also to bid in any of the works that were created in the first round. I know that I have my eye on that Bosco piece, not gonna lie. I am just getting word that the auction is doing really well here tonight. Definitely seeing some good bids coming in for some of the works that were created in round number 1. So make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote, where you will also not only be able to vote, but also bid on these works. So if you are pining over any of the canvas that you saw being painted in round number 1, definitely make sure that you get in there and toss your hat in the ring at the auction. Coming back for round number 2 in just a few moments. We will have another 5 incredible artists up at the easels vying for a chance at winning the Vancouver Regional Championship.
Richmond and Vancouver, Langley, Richmond and Vancouver. All yeah, right. So it's getting battle that we have. Degree in curve and Kim. Woo! Two other Let's welcome using Addie's now at Diesel. This animal lover in he's Tasha Gavel. And last of the battler. Energetic approach. He said, well, Vancouver. Minutes to paint. Get to walk. I see you all. There you go. And have our battle. All start Vancouver. Let's count down to 10. 5, 4, 3.
All right, and we are off to starting round number 2 of the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. And check out what's going down at easel number 1. I was telling everyone how Jace Kim is an ambidextrous painter, and he did not wait long to show us that technique. Already we are seeing Jace just executing some beautiful symmetry in 2 different colors and just blowing my mind already. I could not do that with 2 hands. Here we are panning over to Rodrigo Perez, who also seems to have quite a few fans out in our online audience too. So shout out to our Rodrigo fans. It looks like we are getting some figurative work from Rodrigo. Interesting compositional technique with quite a lot of the figure happening in the top third of this canvas. And I believe that this is Khan, and Khan is the resident defending champ for the Vancouver region. So Khan was in the Art Battle National Championships in 2019. Very, very exciting. And Khan actually comes from an architectural background. So we end up with Khan's work getting these really beautiful painterly techniques that are contrasted with the use of all of these linear lines and almost more of kind of like a mathematical approach. So really blending these different techniques, these different vibes, different emotions, and really creating these just super interesting kind of spaces. And I believe that this is Tasha Gavel. And Tasha is throwing down some blue. I am big fan of blue painters. The running joke here at Art Battle is that I am our resident bluist. I always gravitate towards the blue art. And Tasha's studio work is also very blue heavy as well. She tends to paint on dark canvases and then bring blues and lighter colors over top of a dark toned canvas. So we're seeing that Tasha is working on top of course, our standard art battle canvas here, this white canvas. So perhaps adding a little bit of the challenge or adding to the challenge a little bit for her here is that she's working on a support that she's not typically used to working on. But Tasha is a very experienced art battle artist as well, so well versed in working in this space. And here we are with Shannon Thiesen, and I was lucky enough to see Shannon working and be able to see her paint in person at the national championship in Toronto just a few years ago. Shannon is just explosive when she paints. As you can see here, you're seeing her hands are just moving so rapidly, and she just really, really gets into it and is so. We can see that she's vibing right now too. She is just having such a blast. Yeah, Shannon is so much fun to watch paint, as well as that the result is also so strong. And back with Jace here. It looks like he has switched to the single-handed approach. Oh, just as I said that, introducing the second brush there again. I have to say, it's such a thrill watching Jace paint. It's just so, it's mind-boggling. It really is. Just watching someone using two hands to execute art of all things. And Rodrigo here, using kind of that sienna almost as a neutral, and then laying over this drawing. I'm definitely getting the impression of kind of a life drawing background here. This is kind of the way that I'm seeing that this figure is being executed. It looks like we're seeing the back of a woman's back and just getting the impression of that shoulder blade there. And back over with Khan here, and we can see that Khan is working with a really large brush and is using this brush mostly just on its edge to kind of create those delineations there. The way that this blue has been applied, and then of course we're getting these washes of this kind of inky black coming on too, is almost giving the impression of a watercolor. Back with Tasha here, and we are seeing that she is taking a very similar approach to her studio work. Her studio work is usually color laid over top of black, and here we're seeing black overlaid on top of this blue color. Looking like a pretty specific level of drawing. She's using a pretty small brush. And the way that Tasha typically seems to approach her pieces is building incrementally, executing smaller portions at a time, and then knitting them all together kind of as a whole. I think we've got a bear going. and I love it. The presence here is really good. So checking out what Rodrigo has going on here. It looks like we're creating some beautiful drapery with fabrics around this figure. Really getting the sense of energy in the city scene here with Khan. And I love seeing just those hits of tail lights coming in. It really kind of warms up the space, warms up this environment that he's creating, and starts to add in that human element into the concrete jungle. And the bear that Tasha is working on right now, just really, really exciting to see the way that she is just adding in these elements, the push and pull of the way that she's approaching these highlights, and just working on a toned canvas. So when we say a toned canvas, what we mean is that the artist has overlaid or has underlaid um, a swath of color to then work over top of so that there is an established mid tone. And then that artist will be more likely to be adding in their contrasts on top of that. So a lot of the work in the painting has already been done and established by creating this mid tone and then working with that mid tone to create the highlights, lowlights, and provide contrast. Here we are back with Shannon. And have to say, I did not anticipate this background color. That lilac is really cool. It's providing this kind of midpoint between the warms and cools, and I like the way that that is contrasting the red. That's definitely not a color combo that I'm used to seeing, and for some reason, it's just really jiving with me. I really like it. Wow, the way that Jace has approached this portrait, there's just so much strength in it. The play of light is so wonderful. The planes of the face, the establishment of the proportions of the face, just everything here is just really, really strong from Jace, and just loving the execution. I feel like there's just the presence of the figure alone is giving us so much. I am very slightly concerned with the amount of negative space present around the figure, and it is remaining to be seen whether or not Jace will fill that in or not. The negative space is helping us to kind of centrally focus on the figure, and is providing that contrast to these colors and adding a sense of softness, but I would also love to see it expand as well. Wow, so much has happened since we last came around to Rodrigo, and this beautiful softness of the figure and the way that Rodrigo has provided us with this background has just really brought this piece to fruition. This piece has really become so much more finished in the last few minutes, just through the addition of this background that's kind of containing these subtle tones from this turquoise into the green, and then that more neutral tone contrasted with that hit of orange. The hit of orange is so nice. So we have 5 minutes only remaining on the clock. So the last final 5 minutes of the second round. The top two artists, as voted by the audience, will be moving forward to the third and final round. So make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote, and that is where you will be casting your votes for who you want to see paint again, and who will be moving on to the final. The top two artists from round number one, top two artists from round number two, and then only one single artist will be crowned the winning artist tonight and will be moving on to the national championship. So it is a very exciting night for live competitive painting. Make sure that you are a part of it by casting your vote. Every vote counts. We hear from our auction manager or our voting manager, Gina, all the time that votes can really, really come down to just a fraction. Just a single vote can really make the difference between the winning artist and who moves on to have these big life experiences of traveling to the nationals and competing with artists from all over Canada. So make sure that you cast your vote because it really truly does count. And once again, all of these pieces are available for silent auction. If you are falling in love with them as much as I am, you can bid against me in the auction in that same link at artbattle.com/vote. Oh, wow. Tasha coming in with the paint marker, really giving us that hit of contrast that I was talking about earlier, and also the very satisfying aspect of the sharpness of the execution in this paint marker. Wow, the golden eyes from Shannon here. Just drove me to silence for a second because I'm just kind of mesmerized with the energy of this portrait. It's haunting in a way. And I don't know if that's because we haven't had the pupil added in yet. But there's definitely something special going on in this figure, a really unique kind of presence. Shannon has such a wonderful ability to translate energy into not only her portraits, but also I've seen some really stunning animal pieces from her as well that retain this kind of presence as well. Okay, so I was telling everyone that I was a little bit nervous about the level of negative space that was present for Jace here, and he just the strategy of placing the circular shape here just takes up so much space in the canvas in such an intelligent way because we're still able to retain that softness from the white and that kind of stark contrast that I was saying that I liked about the negative space, but it's much more full and is just continuing to contribute to the presence of that figure. The glow that Rodrigo is able to achieve here with this figure is so interesting. Um, I don't think that I've seen an artist paint in this way, where the vibrancy and contrast is more concentrated in the background, and then the more neutral tones are concentrated in the figure. And I have to say, it just creates such an interesting piece. Like it's so engaging the way that that's executed, just really draws you in. And back with Khan here. Khan, I'm sure, is vying and ready to go to the champs once again. He is working hard. And I had mentioned it earlier, but Khan has a background in architecture, which also tends to inform his art. And I think that we can really see that here. Our final countdown.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hear it for our round two painters again. All right, painters, don't forget to sign your name at the bottom of your painting.
Okay. That marks the end of the second qualifying round. Oh wow, look at the this contrast here, this black light situation from Jace. I don't think that we got to see those final touches, or at least the way that they were light reactive at the time. Loving that. Such a fun element. Make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote. That is where you will register to choose your favorite artist from this round. The top two will be moving on to the final. We have a special treat tonight for this championship event that the final round will actually be 30 minutes. So these artists usually have 20 minutes and we have gifted them an extra 10 to show their creativity and prowess, and an extra 10 minutes to duke it out at the easels in an effort to make it to the national championship. So stay tuned. We will be back very shortly, just counting the votes for all of our artists that are going to be making it into the final. Voting is still open, so make sure that you get in there, cast your opinion, and be assured that your vote really truly does count. Often it comes down to just a single vote that can make the difference between an artist moving forward or saying better luck next time. So make sure that you cast your vote and also bid in the auction. We will ship these works to you. You don't need to be in the room tonight. Again, just taking this opportunity to make sure that to remind you to make sure that you vote artbattle.com/vote. That is where you will be choosing your favorite artist and not only the piece that you think is the best in this round, but also the artist that you want to see move on to the final and that you really want to see paint again. So make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote. We are just getting ready and set up for round number 3. Just facing a little bit of camera difficulty. We will be back in just a few minutes for round number 3, so definitely stay tuned. The votes are rolling in for our final four artists. If you want to take the last opportunity to vote, you might just be able to squeak it in now. We will be closing voting very, very shortly and announcing our final round artists. So we are watching an artist working in the graffiti alley beside the Red Room in Vancouver. Behind him are three beautiful Porsche cars supplied by Porsche Canada for our viewing pleasure at the event.
Drum roll, please. Kolosova!
Calm. Give them 5 minutes.
All right, Bosco. Check out Ali there with the get back here to start our
Once again, moving on from round number 1, we have Bosco and Kristina Kolosova at easel number, or sorry. And moving on from round number 2, we have Khan and Jace Kim. So once again, that is moving on from round number 1. We have Bosco, Art Battle newcomer, and Kristina Kolosova, Art Battle veteran. And moving on from the qualifying round 2, we have defending national champ Khan and our ambidextrous wonder artist, Jace Kim. So it is sure to be an absolutely stunning final round event. A mix of art battle veterans and an artist who is painting in his second art battle ever. It's going to go down, guys. It's going to go down in history tonight. Who is going to be the winning artist of the Vancouver regional finals? Who is going to move on to the nationals? In about 5 minutes, we will begin round number 3, and we will have 30 minutes on the clock, and then it's up to you to decide. Sorry, a slight correction from me. A Vancouver regional defending champ who moved on to nationals. Khan, I slightly misspoke, but it is still going to be an absolute banger of a round. So get ready for round number 3 in just a few minutes. We are just hanging out in the graffiti alley next to the Red Room, our venue in Vancouver. We have some graffiti artists working on murals tonight, and also they are alongside hanging out with some beautiful Porsche vehicles that I'm sure that we will pan over to soon. But this mural is looking sick so far. The gold is really just super reflective, and it is going really well. Okay, heading back into the venue here. We will be beginning round number 3, our final round of the Vancouver Regional Championship. And our final round of the night, a single artist will be crowned, and that artist will be moving on to the 2022 Art Battle National Championship happening on July 20th in Toronto. All right, headed back into the venue. The blank canvases are up at the easels. We are down for a very, very exciting third and final round of the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. Stepping up to the easels, we have Bosco and Kristina Kolosova from round number 1, and from round number 2, Khan and Jace Kim. We can see the artists just shaking out their nerves, hanging out in front of their easels, looking at their canvas, and just planning out their works. In this round, we will have 30 minutes on the clock, an additional 10 minutes.
All right, let's count down together, crew. Oh, also, the auction is now perfectly working. So, if you want to buy paintings,
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's paint.
really great question. You still walk around in a circle. Round 3, everyone. Your last chance to get those bodies moving in that circle-like fashion. Think of a hula hoop. Think of an orange. Be one with the circle. Be the circle. Let's get moving.
And here we have 30 minutes on the clock, and we have just begun round number 1 of the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. Very, very exciting round here. We have Bosco, Kristina Kolosova, Khan, and Jace Kim. And we can see Kristina here working in the same color palette that we saw from her qualifying round piece. And it looks like maybe in my heart of hearts, I would love to have a continuation of the narrative of what happens to her character, the floating astronaut from round number 1. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. You guys let me know in the comments what you think is going to go down. Khan here working on some gradient. We have this kind of bluey green, almost some like a phthalo-y kind of action there, and then this beautiful golden yellow converging and meeting in the middle in this vertical gradient here. And here we are with Jace Kim, and Jace is taking a slightly different approach than we saw him, or actually a drastically different approach than what we saw him do in his qualifying round. We can see that Jace is working with charcoal and is drawing. Not only is he drawing with 2 hands, but he's drawing like cross body. Like at that point, his arms were just across his body. So fun. And also really cool to see Jace work on a piece that isn't symmetrical, having this 3/4 head turn portrait here, and getting to see him working in that ambidextrous technique on something that is not symmetrical just bends my brain even just that little bit more. And as much as I love to talk about Jace's technique, the also the big impressive factor here is that the work that's executed is excellent as well. So it's not just relying on the novelty of that technique. And here we are with Bosco, and as expected, Bosco in the first 3.5 minutes has got the whole canvas covered. We've got paint all over the canvas, 100%. And layering on with that knife work there. And I just want to remind everyone that this is Bosco's very first art battle, very second art battle event, his very first regional championship event. And he won his very first event ever. So won his first event ever, went to the regional championship. This is his second event. And he's just killing it. So the other 3 artists that are in this round are veteran artists from Art Battle, have won multiple events, have painted in 10 plus events over the course of their Art Battle careers. And Bosco here is a newbie and is just bringing it just as much as them. So really, really excited to see Bosco's continued performance in this final round. And a big congratulations for him for getting to this point also. So 25 minutes left on the clock. 5 minutes only have elapsed. Back with Madeline here, or sorry, back with Kristina here. And we can see that she's kind of just effortlessly blending in all of these different super soft colors. And now we're getting these mountainous kind of landscapes just emerging from this mist. The way that Kristina is building this piece, I'm just really, really enjoying it. It's so soft. And yeah, the building, the way that she builds her pieces is how I would describe it. We saw Kristina in the first round create all of these super soft blended shapes and then introduce more like sharp elements, more figurative elements on top there. And just really wonderful use of layering from Kristina. And speaking of layering, here we are back with Khan, and Khan looks like he was just using his finger and now has switched to a brush And we're getting this kind of rounded architecture that is like standing out against possibly a sunrise. It's really interesting to me seeing Khan and the way that he's approaching uh, the different elements that lead into his final composition. And again, to use that building metaphor, how he layers all of these elements in. Wow, big turn of events with Jace here. We're seeing a ton of color has been added into the figure with these kind of peach tones and then some beautiful magentas being thrown into the shadows there. And the way that the paint is interacting with the charcoal underneath is kind of toning it down just a little bit, graying it out that slight little amount, creating some areas of subtlety that I think that Jace will then layer over top of to bring us back into that vibrant space. I love this purpley pink that's happening. And I think I'm also seeing just a tiny touch of some cooler colors, perhaps in the eyebrows there. And very painterly, this approach. And speaking of painterly approach, Bosco, just such a large amount of paint on the canvas already. And then we just get kind of treated to this really fun performance of give and take from Bosco and his palette knives. We can see that there's so many colors that he's laid on here already. And then we kind of see him uh, scraping them away almost to reveal some of the paint layers that were underneath and using that to blend. It creates this really interesting technique where you're getting different elements shining through and the mark making is so important in the way that Bosco is painting. So now we can see that Kristina is in here with some knife work. And just adding that beautiful blue into the base of the mountains. I always appreciate when an artist introduces blue in this kind of subtle way into a landscape because when we look through the atmosphere, the way that color is perceived through the atmosphere and the way that we see it with our eyes is that things that are farther away in the distance tend to skew a little bit more blue. So we're definitely getting a great establishment of distance here from Kristina. A really just wonderfully composed landscape at this point. I'm really enjoying that one of the mountains is much higher. I think that it's providing a more interesting balance than if it were totally symmetrical. Ooh, and getting that hit of fuchsia up there. I love it. As I was saying, when Kristina is painting, she's creating all of these beautiful soft subtleties in the beginning, and then kind of giving us this punch of color and contrast and elements of surprise as she works into the later stages of the work. So we are 12 minutes into the final round of this super just talent-packed regional championship event. 18 minutes left on the clock. Khan is certainly not wasting any time, not wasting any breaststroke. Looks like there might be a water element to Khan's piece there as well. We will have to see how it evolves. One of the great joys of Art Battle, and additionally, if you go there in person, if you have the pleasure to see the event in person as well, when you're walking around the easels, every time you walk around and you come back, you get to see different stages of these artworks. So the last time that we saw Jace's piece, we didn't have this gorgeous element of this purple being added, and now so this is kind of the next stage of that painting. We're seeing him working into the hair and into the background and really making a lot of use of texture there. Lots of knife work in this round. I always tend to be a little bit scared of knife work, just because I feel like it's a really difficult tool to use, and we are just seeing it used in so many different expert ways. We are seeing Bosco with this kind of just layering and almost icing technique. We're seeing Jace utilizing it to add a contrast of texture into a painting that has otherwise more flat areas. We're seeing Kristina using it to create those angularities into the mountains. And I don't think that we've seen Khan use it yet, but I really feel like he's going to do it. So yeah, lots of just excellent technique. This is a championship event for a reason, guys. These artists work really, really hard and are so skilled in their craft. Oh, yes. So, as I was saying earlier, I really wanted this continued narrative of our spaceman falling through the sky, and we're getting kind of the way zoomed out view, I think, of what that environment was for him. This almost alien landscape, and we're seeing what looks like a solar system kind of peeking through the atmosphere and the clouds here. Just again, just talking about those wonderful pops of surprise from Kristina. Stunning from Khan. So much water on the canvas and so much wash work uh, that Khan is doing here. And it's just created this beautiful sense of light. We're really understanding that these are water ripples here. And the way that these shapes, it's such simple shapes, but it's really coming through. 14 minutes on the clock. We have officially passed the halfway mark. Voting will be open soon. If it isn't already, make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote and help us choose who will represent the Vancouver region in the Toronto or in the national championships on July 20th in Toronto. Once again, the winning artist of this final round of the Vancouver Regional Championships will be going on to represent in the 2022 Art Battle National Championships happening in Toronto on July 20th. So make sure that you go to artbattle.com/vote and help us choose. All of these works will also be available for silent auction. So if you are falling in love the same way that I am, watching Jace create all of these beautiful, beautiful lips on this canvas, and you're wanting to maybe stare at this all day long in your home, head on over to artbattle.com/vote. That is also your auction link. You don't need to be in the room to place a bid. We will ship these works to you. Bosco's we might ship the next day because it'll take a little while to dry with this much paint on it, but you will get it. And so now we're seeing these kind of fences being added in. Definitely more of a cityscape. We did have some elements of urbanity in Bosco's first round piece with the bridge in the background, but this is definitely more of a closer view of a cityscape. We're getting the sense of windows in the buildings, and maybe a little bit of a park kind of going on in the foreground. Ugh, the figure in the foreground. The figure in the foreground. I'm so happy with this piece from Kristina. I feel so attached to these two works. Um, and that's just based on the storytelling tools that Kristina is using here. Um, Not only are they visually stunning pieces that have a color harmony in terms of their palette, but the continued narrative of these two pieces just makes them so interesting and makes her performance very engaging because you're already kind of invested in the characters. And this composition is so wonderful too, with all of your eye lines really converging on this character here. Wow. The addition of the green. The addition of the green into the water has just created so much depth. Really just stunning work here from Khan. And I also really enjoy the green addition in here too, because I think that it begins to harmonize the yellow, this kind of buttercream yellow up at the top, definitely getting that color story. And then those hits of orange are also so nice. Khan has a very specific way of representing light. His style is so recognizable, and there's just such a wonderful sense of softness in the way that he represents light, and then that's contrasted by these more linear lines that represent the buildings and the boats and everything else. It's just a really wonderful way of painting. And back with Jace here, who is just rocking all of this texture, all of the texture that I wanted in this piece. I am getting now. We are getting now. 8.5 minutes only left on the clock. Again, a fair amount of negative space for Jace on this canvas. So we will have to see how he treats that. Will it be covered up? Will it be treated with the same kind of intentionality that we saw in his first round qualifying piece, where we saw that geometric element added in right at the end? Um, I would love to see a small amount of finishing happening in the bottom of the body here in this portrait, but really enjoying the way that it's going so far. That addition of that highlighter yellow against the purple and the pink. It's really, really cool. Jace has a great way with color as well. And speaking of that neon color, we're getting that kind of introduced into some foliage in Bosco's piece here. 7 minutes left on the clock, and I can't wait to see how Bosco's piece continues to evolve. And just really stunned with the way that he layers his pieces. And we're also seeing him take small moments to step back and observe the piece and where the piece is at, which I think is a really smart technique for artists in art battle that a lot of artists don't prioritize because there's really not the time to prioritize it usually. And so Bosco is really utilizing those extra 10 minutes to paint at more of a leisurely pace and really taking time to consider each placement. Kristina, back with Kristina here. Uh, so jazzed about this piece, but I also have to say that it can be a bit of a risky move to do something that's so zoned out when you're painting against, especially you've got Jace as a portrait painter making a huge impact with that. And then the boldness that Bosco has going on. And of course, Khan's just, it's a great painting. But this is just so wonderful from Kristina, taking that little bit of risk with scale in the interest of creating a really well realized piece. And I am excited to see how that translates into the votes for her. 5 minutes only on the clock. Head over to artbattle.com/vote. Voting is open. The auction is open. And you can take these pieces home with you from your screen. We will ship them to you. You don't need to be in the room to collect at Art Battle. Also, have to say, I'm really enjoying watching Khan just feel like he's definitely taking his time with this piece. Some of our art battle artists who are vets in this round are probably just kind of luxuriating in these extra 10 minutes. No one seems overly stressed, which I'm really enjoying. I love watching the pros at work. What are these dots? I would love to get closer. I feel like those might be metallic elements. Loving the addition of this turquoise into the portrait. Utilizing it in the shadows, but also in kind of a way that it's like like a bounced reflected light. especially in that upper lip there, almost as if we have a blue light source coming from below. I am a portrait artist myself, so I'm often thinking about the challenges that portrait artists are faced with by representing light and creating visuals that make sense to the viewer, because sometimes a painting might not seem very good, and often it's because the representation of light is not in the correct place. So we can see that Jace is doing a really great job at capturing that. And love seeing Bosco treating the edges of his canvas. Always such a pro move to finish the edges. I definitely feel like an artist finishing the edges, especially in art battle. It's such a pro move, not only because it really creates the sense of a finished canvas, but I also feel like it communicates really well to the audience that this is not just a performance piece, that this is a fully realized piece of art, and there's it adds an element of inherent value, I think. 90 seconds remaining on the clock. And here we can see Kristina just thoughtfully adding in some highlights onto the kind of mist that's covering the ground here that her figure is walking forth from. Back with Khan here, just very calmly adding in his final shadows, taking some opportunity to do some blends, uh, going a little bit faster now, but still very calm. This was a really well time managed piece from Khan. And we can see Jace just finishing, chipping in those highlights there. All right, and that marks the end of the final round of the Art Battle Vancouver Regional Championship. Huge congratulations to all of the artists who painted with us tonight in this event. It was a huge buildup over the course of years to get to this final event. And we are so grateful to each of you for traveling near and far to join us and perform in this incredible display of talent that we've seen here tonight. And also a special congratulations to our 4 finalists who are now vying for your votes. So make sure you go to artbattle.com/vote to register if you haven't already. If you are already registered, you will have a link and you will be able to vote for your favorite artist and who you want to see moving on to the 2022 Art Battle National Championships taking place in Toronto on July 20th. So do not sleep. make sure that you get over to that link. Make sure that you cast your vote. And if you are so inclined, make sure that you cast your bids as well in the auction. But we hear all the time that the difference between an artist winning can be as small as a single vote. So your vote really, really, truly does count and is so important when we think about the impact that winning an event like this and moving forward to the Canadian National Championship can have on an artist. It's so important to cast that vote and cast it with your heart. Pick your favorite piece and envision that artist on the plane to Toronto thinking about what they're going to be painting at Nationals. So, really realize the weight of your vote and make sure that you cast it. We are so excited to see who it's going to be, who will be representing the Vancouver region in the Nationals. We will be finding out in just a few short minutes. Our camera person is just taking a very short break. She has been holding the camera for the entire event and also painted in our very first opening act. So, our wonderful camera person has had her arm up for quite some time. So, she is just taking a 1 minute break, and we will be back with our feed. And we are counting the votes, and we'll be announcing the winner very, very soon. So, stay tuned. absolutely stellar performance from our four finalists tonight. Have to say a big congratulations. Each of these artists really just showed up in such a wonderful way, displaying their skill, staying true to their personal artistic style in the way that they translated it to the live arena as well. Always a special challenge for an artist to be able to translate their personal aesthetic to one that fits within this very intense timed situation. And I really feel that all of the artists that painted with us tonight really honored their own personal styles, and it was wonderful to see them step up to the easels tonight and just perform, paint their hearts out. And the votes are rolling in for our four finalists, and we will be announcing the winner very soon, choosing the artist who will be moving on to the Nationals to represent the Vancouver region. Stay tuned.
Art Battle Championships. All right, drum roll, please. And the winner is
Con. Where are you, Con? Con.
Con!
Con. There he is.
there he is, man of the hour. Woo. All right, Con, yeah. Yeah. Congratulations. Do you have anything to say to your fans, your people who voted you?
Thank you so much.
A man of very few words. I'm sure he puts it all out on the painting there. All right. Well, we'll see you in Toronto in July 20th. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Portia Langley, Richmond, and Vancouver. This is the finals, everyone. Thank you so much for a great season. Yeah! Let's hear it for our battle!
So tonight's auction is going to close in about 5 minutes. If you are the winner, you will get texted a link. Just come see me over at the auction area to do your payment and take your paintings home tonight.
And a massive congratulations to our winner of the Vancouver Regional Championships, Con. Just stunning win from Con. Very well deserved. Two absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous pieces. Just really technically sound, emotive, and just the quality of the work is so wonderful. Con, we cannot wait to see you paint in the national championships again. He painted in 2019 as well, so welcome back to the National Championships, Con. We can't wait to see you paint in Toronto on July 20th. And you out there in the internets will also be able to watch the Nationals streaming live.